All right. Trying to get moved. Watch out. We going live. I'm trying to set the camera up as best as I can. I don't have a tripod, guys. So bell on. Facebook, what's up? Family and friends, what's going on? Brothers and sisters, coming at you guys with another lesson on today. I am your host, Shabar Judah Israel, and on my right hand side,
Yaban Israel.
Yaban Israel, and on today, I'm just going to go into dealing with the marriage and divorcement. Okay, the marriage of the Most High and divorcement, and hopefully you guys can get some entering understanding of the marriage and divorcement. So please share the video with family and friends. What you will need for this lesson, you will need King James Holy Bible, composition book to take notes, pen or pencil to write the notes down, and pretty much that's it. Now, just for to be on the safe side, you might want to also grab the Apocrypha. Don't know if I'm going into it today, but you might want to grab it just to be on the safe side, because you know, better safe than sorry. So yeah, double honors to the elders, salutations to the brothers that's teaching and preaching this truth and sincerity, risking their lives, and to edify you blacks, Hispanics, Latinos, and Native Americans. You are the Israelites. And last but not least, we give all praises, great honor, glorification to Yahweh by Hashem Yahushua, who they call God and Jesus Christ out of ignorance. So let's get into it, guys. So the first book, chapter, and verse. Well, should I do the credo? Let me do the credo. Who got next?
We got next.
Who got next?
We got next.
For how long?
Forever.
For how long?
Forever.
What we gonna do?
Take the king.
What we gonna do?
Take the king.
When?
Now.
When?
Now.
How?
Yahweh Shem Yahushua.
How?
Yahweh Shem Yahushua.
That's what we gonna do. Through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahushua, give you what you need to proceed. So let's go to Deuteronomy. I'm going into Deuteronomy, the 24th chapter, talking about the marriage and the divorcement, okay? Deuteronomy, the 24th chapter, talking about the marriage and the divorcement, all right? Deuteronomy is known as the second book of the law, and it comes in after the book of Leviticus. Well, not the book after Leviticus, but Deuteronomy comes after the book of Numbers. All right. So this is Deuteronomy, the 24th chapter. Deuteronomy, the 24th chapter. So we're going to start from the 24th chapter of Deuteronomy. I'm going to start from the top. All right. We see Adrian Birch is watching, and also we see Jay White is watching. Appreciate you guys for being part of this wonderful lesson on today. Please share the video with family and friends if you will. So I'm starting from, in the Bible, you need a Bible, King James Bible. I'm starting from the 24th chapter of Deuteronomy. I will be explaining the marriage and the divorcement process, okay, between the Most High and the chosen people, which are the Israelites, okay? So this is Deuteronomy, the 24th chapter, and I'm going to go ahead and kick it off by just starting from the top of the 24th chapter of Deuteronomy. So go ahead and read,
Deuteronomy chapter 24 and verse 1. When a man had taken a wife and married her.
When a man has taken a wife, when a man takes a wife and marries her, go ahead.
And it come to pass that she find no favor in his eyes.
It come to a particular time that this woman that this man marries, that she finds no favor in his eyes. Go ahead.
Because he had found some uncleanness in her.
Because he found something wrong with this woman. He found some uncleanness in her. You understand? She wasn't being faithful to him. She was being the devil to him. She was being wicked and evil to him. So this man, you know, he finds no favor in terms of having this woman. He finds no favor in his eyes on the woman that he has, right? Go ahead, read on.
Then let him write her a bill of divorcement.
Then let him write her a bill of divorcement. See, go ahead.
And give it in her hand and send her out of his house.
See that? And that's Deuteronomy 24th chapter, verse 1. So I'm going to reiterate it. I'm going to go over it. Now I'm about to expound on it and explain what's going on dealing with the marriage and the divorcement. All right. So now, and I'm going to do this explaining how the Most High, who you call God, the God of Israel, and the chosen people, which are the Israelites, which are the blacks, Hispanics, Latinos, and Native Americans. I'm going to explain how, you know, God, who you call God, he married the nation of Israel, which are the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. But along the timeline, you know, within a process of time, you know, this woman, which is Israel, found herself not worthy to the Most High, and what he did was he wrote the woman a bill of divorce and sent her out of his house. Okay, so I'm going to explain this. Now, Jeremiah, get me Isaiah. Give me Isaiah 54th chapter. Give me Isaiah the 54th chapter and read verse 5. Because it said, when a man have taken a wife and married her, this man right here is talking about the Most High. All right. I'm speaking from the spiritual aspect of it. See what I'm saying? So in Deuteronomy the 24th chapter, this man that had took this wife to marry her, this man is known as God, who you call the Most High. All right, the God of Israel, Yahweh, the existent one. So this is Isaiah the 54th chapter, verse 5, as a precept. Read that out.
Isaiah chapter 54 and verse 5. For thy maker is thine husband. See that?
Thy maker is thy what?
Is thine husband. The Lord of hosts is his name.
See? The Lord of hosts is his name. So in Isaiah the 54th chapter, verse 5, it says thy maker is thy what?
Is thy name.
Read it over again. Isaiah 54 and verse 5.
It says, for thy maker is thine husband.
Thy maker is thy who?
Is thine husband.
So the children of Israel, which are the blacks, Hispanics, Latinos, and Native Americans of today, it says that your maker, who is God, who you call God, that's your husband. All right? Because we know that Isaiah himself was an Israelite. So in Isaiah the 54th chapter, Isaiah, because I'm getting to it, let me turn to it so I can expound on it. Isaiah the 54th chapter, verse 5, it says, for thy maker is thy husband. So he's letting you know, children of Israel, you Israelites of today, blacks, Hispanics, Latinos, Native Americans, you Israelites of today that is known as the nation of Israel, is letting you see that the maker is thy husband, that God is your husband, who you call God. God is your husband, Israel. God is your husband. It says the maker, Isaiah 54 verse 5, the maker is thy husband, the Lord of hosts is his name, thy redeemer, the Holy One of Israel. The Holy One of Israel, the God of the whole earth, shall he be called. Because he's the God that created the heavens and the earth. So in Isaiah 54th chapter, it literally tells you that the Holy One of Israel, the God of Israel, is the husband of the Israelites. So we being the Israelites of today, you so-called Negroes, you are the real Jews the Bible speaks of. We being the Israelites of today, which are the Negroes, Migos, Native Americans, the Indians, we being the Israelites of today, we have a maker, which is our husband, which is God. So we would be like the bride. The nation of Israel would be the bride, and God would be the groom. You see what I'm saying? So the nation of Israel, they would be likened unto the bride, but God, which is our maker, would be likened unto the groom. See what I'm saying? So I'm going to show you more precepts. Give me Give me Jeremiah 31, verse 32. Jeremiah, the chapter 31, 32. Jeremiah 31 and 32. Read that.
Jeremiah chapter 31 and verse 32.
Read on.
Not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers.
See this? Jeremiah 31, verse 32. Matter of fact, just go ahead and read Jeremiah 31 and 31. Read that.
Jeremiah chapter 31 and verse 31.
And we'll work our way down. Go ahead.
Behold, the days come, said the Lord, that I will make a new covenant.
I will make a new covenant. I will make a new covenant. With who?
With the house of Israel.
Now, what is the new covenant? What is the new covenant that God said he was going to make? Give me Matthew 26 and 28 in the New Testament. And then we'll come back here. Let's see what is the new covenant that God said that he will make with the house of Israel, which is the bride. The Most High said that he will make a new covenant with the house of Israel. And let's see what it is. Matthew 26 and 28 of the New Testament. Read.
Matthew chapter 26 and verse 28. For this is my blood of the New Testament.
What did Christ say?
For this is my blood of the New Testament.
What did the black Messiah say?
For this is my blood of the New Testament.
He said, this is my blood of the New Testament. That's it. Read on.
Which is shed for many for the remissions of sins.
Which is shed for many. The many are talking about the Israelites, the elect of the nation of Israel. Because that's who the Messiah died for. He died for the Israelites. So he said his blood was what?
It says, for this is my blood of the New Testament, which is shed for many for the remission of sins.
The New Testament is also known as the New Covenant. Okay, so when you look at Matthew 26 and the 28th verse, it says that the Messiah's blood makes up the New Testament, which is also the New Covenant, because it don't supposed to be a New Testament in the Bible. When you see New Testament in the Bible, it don't supposed to be New Testament. It's actually supposed to say New Covenant. So the Messiah's blood is the New Covenant. The Old Covenant was animalistic sacrifice, which was animals' blood. The Old Covenant, or the Old Testament, was dealing with animalistic sacrifice. The New Covenant, as we read in Matthew 26:28, which speaks of the Messiah's blood, the New Covenant is the New Testament. So the New Testament is the Messiah's blood. All right? So now, when we go back to Jeremiah chapter 31, verse 31, read that again. Now let's go back to Jeremiah 31 and 31.
Jeremiah chapter 31 and verse 31. Behold, the days come, said the Lord.
Said the Lord, which is the God of Israel, which is their husband.
That I will make a new covenant.
I will make a new covenant. So why did God have to make a new covenant? Why did God have to make a new covenant with the house of Israel, which are you blacks, Hispanics, Latinos, and Native Americans? Why did he have to make a new covenant with you? Why did he have to make a new covenant? The new covenant is his son, Christ. So why did he have to make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah? Because I'm going to explain how God, who you call the Most High, I'm going to explain how he divorced the Israelites because some unfaithfulness and some uncleanness was found in her. So he had to make a new covenant through his son to redeem the people that he cast off. And now we'll get into that later. Give me Jeremiah 31 verse 32. Read.
Jeremiah chapter 31 and verse 32. Not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers.
Yeah, because the covenant that he made with our fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the covenant that he made with our fathers was animalistic sacrifice. You being redeemed from your sins through the shedding of animals' blood. Jeremiah 31:32 says, not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers, because that's talking about the old covenant, which was animalistic sacrifice, you being redeemed by animals' blood. He had to make a new covenant, which was you being redeemed by the blood of the Son, who they ignorantly call Jesus Christ, who we know as Yahweh Shai. Right? So Jeremiah 31 and 32, read once again.
Jeremiah chapter 31 and verse 32. Not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day that I took them by the hand to bring them out of the land of Egypt.
Because the children of Israel was in the land of Egypt 430 years as slaves. We were slaves to the Egyptians 430 years in the land of Egypt, which I bring them out of the land of Egypt, which my covenant they broke, because we broke the covenant. We broke the first one. We wasn't obedient to the first covenant. Although I was a what? What it says?
It says, although I was an husband unto them.
See that? So Jeremiah 31 and 32 tells you that the Most High God, He was our husband. He was a husband to the nation of Israel. So the nation of Israel would be likened unto the bride. But God, who you call God or the Most High, we know Him as Yahweh, the existing one. He was the husband. He was our husband. He was our husband. But you're going to find out that He divorced a fraction of the Israelites. You see what I'm saying? So when it speaks about, when you go back to Deuteronomy 24th chapter, and it says a man that has taken a wife, and married her, that was God that took the nation of Israel and He married the nation of Israel. You know what I'm saying? That man that took a wife to marry her in the 24th chapter of Deuteronomy, you know what I'm saying? That was the Most High. He took Israel. He married Israel. And it says, and if it come to pass that she find no favor in His eyes because He have found some uncleanness in her, then let Him write her a bill of divorce. That's what you're going to discover in the Bible. That even though God married the nation of Israel, which you blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, it came to a point in time that He found no favor, that He found no favor in you because you was unfaithful to Him. He found uncleanness in you. You understand? So you know what He did? He wrote us a bill of divorcement. You know what I'm saying? And He gave it to us and sent her out. And He sent us out. He cast us off. But you're going to discover that He later redeemed us through His Son. You see what I'm saying? Now, let me show you something else. Give me Jeremiah 3 and 14. I'm just letting you see that the Most High is Israel's husband right now. I'm going to get furthermore into the lesson, but I'm just letting you see that the Most High is Israel's husband. The Most High was Israel's husband. You blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, the Most High was your husband. Jeremiah 3 and 14, read that.
Jeremiah chapter 3 and verse 14. Turn, O backsliding children.
What he said?
Turn, O backsliding children.
Read on.
Said the Lord.
Said the Lord. Read on.
For I am married unto you.
What did God tell the Israelites?
For I am married unto you.
What did God tell you, blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans?
For I am married unto you.
He said that I'm married to you. So guess what? Who was Israel's husband? God, the Most High, Yahweh, the existing one. Which many calls out of ignorance, they call him Jehovah. So who was the husband of Israel? God. And who was the bride? Israel was the bride and God Himself was the groom. Read it once again.
Jeremiah chapter 3 and verse 14. Turn, O backsliding children, said the Lord. For I am married unto you.
I'm what to you?
Married unto you.
I'm married to you. And that's why the Most High made the covenant. That's why he made the covenant with the nation of Israel. See that? He made a covenant with the nation of Israel. So He said, I'm married unto you Israelites. You understand? So the Most High, when you read the Bible, the Most High was your husband, Israelites. Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, you've been a nation of Israel. Just know that the Most High was your husband. And you pissed Him off. Because guess what? You found no favor to Him. You was that woman in the Deuteronomy 24th chapter. That man that took that woman. The nation of Israel was that woman that found no favor in this man's eyes because he found some uncleanness in her. And we're going to show you what that uncleanness is. You see what I'm saying? So guys, let's go back to Deuteronomy 24th chapter. So now we just working our way through. We analyzing it. What we're doing, we just analyzing it. We're scrutinizing it. We're breaking it down, precept upon precept. We're working our way down Deuteronomy 24th chapter. So it says that a man, he took this woman. He married her. We know that that man is the Most High, who you call God, the existing one, Yahweh. He took that woman and he married her. That was the nation of Israel. Blacks, Hispanics, Latinos, and Native Americans. But it came at a point in time where this woman starts to act up. This woman starts to fly off the handle. This woman became ratchet. This woman became, she became seditious. You know what I'm saying? She became unloyal. She was not trustworthy anymore. She was unfaithful. She was unclean. She was ratchet. She was savage. Now, what type of man want a woman like that? What type of man want a woman like that? A woman that he don't find favor in his eyes, and a woman that is unclean and that is unfaithful to him. What type of man want a woman like that? Not one. Not a righteous man anyway. So now this man that married this woman, and eventually, you know, she found no favor in his eyes. It says, because in Deuteronomy 24 verse 1, because he had found some uncleanness in her. Now, what is the uncleanness that was found in this woman? What was the uncleanness that was found in the nation of Israel? What was the uncleanness that was found in her? We're going to show you. Watch this. Give me Jeremiah chapter 3. Go back to Jeremiah chapter 3 and begin with verse 12. Watch this. Matter of fact, start with Jeremiah chapter 3 verse 1. Watch this. Jeremiah chapter 3 verse 1. Start with that.
Jeremiah chapter 3 and verse 1. They say, if a man put away his wife, and she go from him.
If a man put away his wife, and she go from him. Go ahead.
And become another man's. Shall he return unto her again?
Shall he return to her again? If a man put away his wife, and she go from him and become another man's, shall he return to her again? Read on.
Shall not that land be greatly polluted?
Yeah, because a woman is a personification of a landmass. A female woman represents land. A female woman represents land. She represents land, soil. That's why the husbandman, that's where the word husband comes from. A husbandman means someone who plants. A husband is a farmer. So a husband, if a woman has a husbandman or a husband, he is the farmer. He's the one that does the planting. Now, what does the farmer does being the husbandman? He plants seed. A man plants seed into the woman, which is the personification of the land. A woman is a personification of soil that takes in the seed of a man to bear forth children, to bring forth children. So we can see right here in Jeremiah 3 and 1, if a man put away his wife, because that's what God did to the nation of Israel. I'm going to show you. That's what God did to the nation of Israel. If a man put away his wife and she go from him and become another man's, that's what the Israelites did. They became another man. They became another man's wife by being unfaithful to the Most High in terms of idol worship. So if a man put away his wife, shall he return to her again? This is Jeremiah chapter 3 verse 1. Shall he return to her again? Shall not that land be greatly polluted like you Israelites? It says, but thou hast played the harlot with many lovers, yet return again to me, said the Lord. So the Most High gave us time and time again. He gave us chance after chance after chance to return to him, even though we was being unfaithful to him. Even though we was being unfaithful to the Most High. He tells Israel to return to him again. But this woman, which is the nation of Israel, who this man loved and he married, she found herself unclean to him. She wouldn't do that. She wouldn't return to him. Because she found herself unclean. How did she find herself unclean? Read Jeremiah 3 verse 2. Read that up.
Jeremiah chapter 3 and verse 2. Lift up thine eyes unto the high places.
So he tells Jeremiah to lift up his eyes to the high places. Read on.
And see where thou hast not been lying in.
And see where thou hast not been lean with. Lean with means to be corrupt. So it says, lift up your eyes. He tells Jeremiah in Jeremiah 3 and 2, the Most High tells Jeremiah, lift up your eyes into the high places. High places are worship of paganism, like high places. Pagan worship places. Lift up your eyes to the high places and see where thou hast not been lain with. Lift up your eyes and see that, you know, the nation of Israel, the children of Israel, lift up your eyes and see. And tell me if they ain't corrupt. It says, start with in the ways, Jeremiah 3 and 2.
Jeremiah chapter 3 and verse 2. In the ways hast thou sat for them as the Arabians.
Yeah, because the Israelites, they learned customs, traditions, manners, and practices of the Ishmaelites, which are the Arabs. So you can see right here the nation, the Israelites, because primarily he's talking about northern kingdom of Israel. Remember, Israel became servant kingdom. Israel consists of 12 tribes. But we know what happened to Israel back in 1 Kings, the 11th chapter. Israel became a dissected nation. Israel became a servant nation. You had northern Israel, which was Samaria, which was known as the kingdom of Ephraim. And then you had southern Israel, which was known as the Jews, the kingdom of Judah. We know that the nation of Israel ultimately ends up becoming a servant nation. You had the northern kingdom, which is the house of Israel, the southern kingdom, which were the Jews. In this case, it's talking about the northern kingdom Israelites, how they became unfaithful to the Most High, and how they learned the customs, traditions, and manners and practices. How they learned their Arabs. They learned traditions and practices and customs from the Arabs, from the Arabians. You see what I'm saying? Jeremiah 3 and 2. It says that they sat for them as the Arabian in the wilderness, and thou hast polluted the land with thy whoredoms and with thy wickedness. So you had the northern kingdom of Israel. They had went off and started learning the practices and the traditions of the Arabs, which are the Ishmaelites. See that? So that's unfaithfulness. Because if God married the nation of Israel, if he married the Israelites, and he tells the Israelites to keep his commandments and keep his covenants and be obedient to him, and if the nation of Israel chooses not to do that, and they go off and start learning other heathen nations' practice, traditions, and customs, that's unfaithfulness to God. That's just like Israel playing the harlot. That's just like Israel being unfaithful, and she's playing a whore. She's showing herself to be a whore because she's not committed to God. She's not committed to her husband, which gave her commandments, laws, statutes, and judgments to keep. But she went off and started following the Arabian traditions and customs, like Jeremiah 3 and 2 says. Guess what? It says, through her whoredoms and her wickedness, she found herself to be unfaithful. See that? So now, when you go back to Deuteronomy, the 24th chapter, let's go back to Deuteronomy 24th chapter. You can see that this man that took this woman to marry, she found no favor in his eyes because it was some uncleanness found in her. What is that? What is that uncleanness? That uncleanness was unfaithfulness and not keeping the Most High. You didn't want to keep God's commandments and his statutes and his judgments that he gave you, Israelites. You didn't want to keep God's commandments. You chose to go off from God, showing yourself to be unfaithful, to indulge in other heathen nation practices, traditions, and customs. So you became a whore in some sense. And I'm going to show you that. I'm not finished. All right. Now, watch this. Give me Jeremiah chapter. I know it's a lot of flipping back and forth, but that's how we do it to get understanding. Precept upon precept, line upon line, here a little and there a little. All right. So read Jeremiah chapter 3. Now we flipping back to Jeremiah chapter 3 and read verse 6.
Jeremiah chapter 3 and verse 6. The Lord said also unto me in the days of Josiah the king, hast thou seen that what backsliding Israel had done? Hast thou seen what who has done? Which backsliding Israel hath done? Read on, Jeremiah 3 and 6. Read on. She is gone up upon every high mountain. See that? The Israelites, the northern kingdom of Israel, those 10 tribes, you know, which Jeroboam was appointed king over, which was known as northern Israel, Samaria. It says that, hast thou seen, Jeremiah 3 and 6, what backsliding Israel has done? She has gone up upon every high mountain and under every green tree, and there had played the harlot. So it tells you right there in Jeremiah 3 and 6, it says that the northern kingdom of Israel, she played the harlot. She wasn't faithful to her husband, which was God that had given her commandments, statutes and judgment, and last but not least made a covenant with her. She was not faithful to God.
Jeremiah 3 and 6 says she played the harlot. How did she play the harlot? By not being faithful to God, by going off and doing what? Indulging in the other heathens' practices, manners, traditions, and customs. That's how she showed herself to be unfaithful to the Most High God. You see that? You see that? So when you go back in Deuteronomy 24th chapter, and it speaks about how this man found some uncleanness in this woman, that's what's going on. The Most High found uncleanness in the Israelite. Primarily speaking on the behalf of the northern kingdom right now. He found uncleanness in them. Give me Ezekiel chapter 16, verse 32. Ezekiel 16:32. we see Patricia Toons is watching, Jay White, and also Adrian Birch. Thank you guys for tuning in to be a part of this wonderful lesson. Please share the video with family and friends. Once again, we appreciate you guys for sacrificing your time to be part of this wonderful lesson on today. Now get me Ezekiel 16:32. Read on.
Ezekiel chapter 16 and verse 32. But as a wife that committed adultery.
As a wife that committed adultery. Ezekiel 16:32. As a wife that committed adultery. Go ahead.
Which taketh strangers instead of her husband.
Now who did that? Ezekiel 16:32 says there was a wife that committed adultery and took strangers instead of her husband. Who did that? That was Israel that was unloyal. That was Israel that was not, Israel was not loyal to the Most High. We showed you earlier that that the Most High, who you call God, Yahweh, the existing one, we showed you earlier that he was the husband of Israel. Showed you that back in Isaiah 54 and verse 5. So now, dealing with Ezekiel chapter 16 verse 32, it said that this wife committed adultery with strangers. That's talking about Israel not being obedient to her husband, which was God, the God of Israel, the northern kingdom of Israel. They was not obedient to God, but they took strangers instead. They left the Most High God, which was their husband, and they went and involved themselves in pagan traditions of other nations. See, you're supposed to be obedient to your God. As Israelites, we're supposed to keep the law, statutes, and commandments. As Israelites, we're supposed to follow our husband. We're supposed to follow God. We're supposed to follow these covenants. We're supposed to obey God. We're supposed to do as God says. Just like a wife supposed to follow her husband. Just like a wife supposed to be submissive to her husband. Just like a wife supposed to be obedient to her husband. Israel, which was the wife, which was the bride, supposed to be obedient to her husband, which was God, which was the groom. But Israel didn't do that. In Ezekiel 32, it says she committed adultery. You know why? Because she left her God to go involve herself with other heathen nations, practicing their traditions and customs and celebrating and worshiping their gods. Ezekiel chapter 16, verse 33. Read on.
Ezekiel chapter 16 and verse 33. They give gifts to all whores.
See that? They give gifts to all whores. Read on.
But thou givest thy gifts to all thy lovers.
Read on.
And hirest them, that they may come unto thee on every side for thy whoredom.
See that? So you can see right there. You can see right there that Israel, they became, unfaithful to their husband, which was God. And they played adultery. Now watch this. Watch this. Ezekiel 16, 35. Watch this.
Ezekiel chapter 16 and verse 35. Wherefore, O harlot, hear the word of the Lord.
What did he call Israel?
Wherefore, O harlot, hear the word of the Lord.
The Most High God calls that woman that he married, that bride, that woman being Israel. He was so pissed off with the Israelites. He said in Ezekiel 36, 35, wherefore, O harlot, hear the word of the Lord. He started calling his own beloved woman, which was the nation of Israel that he married. He said she was a whore because she was not faithful and she was not obedient to following his instructions and his commandments. Ezekiel 16:36. Read on.
Ezekiel chapter 16 and verse 36.
Thus
said the Lord God, because thou filthiness.
Because thou what?
Filthiness.
Just like a whore. A whore is not obedient. A whore loves all men. A bitch loves every man on the block. A slut, a tramp, a thought. They love all men. They serve all men. They sleep with all men. They don't care. They willing to please and get a hand to all men. Just know that a whore doesn't have standards. A whore will cross the borderline. She doesn't care. She's not faithful to one particular man. And she will indulge and involve herself in all men. She will let all men, she would let all men engage into her. She would let all men run a train on her. You know what I'm saying? Antonio had a Monday, and now Devin got a Tuesday, and now Tion got a Wednesday, and so forth on out. A whore is not committed. And guess what? When the Most High married the nation of Israel, the Most High wanted the nation of Israel to be committed to him. The Most High wanted the nation of Israel to keep his commandments and do as he says, to keep the covenants, to keep those vows. But guess what? We're going to show you what this woman, which is the Israelites, which are you blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, we're going to show you that over time, this woman was not obedient to her husband. She stopped keeping his commandments. She stopped keeping his rules and regulations. And she became hard-headed, last but not least, hard-headed. Ezekiel 16 and 35. It says what?
Ezekiel chapter 16 and verse 35. Wherefore, O harlot, hear the word of the Lord.
And the Most High went from calling his beloved woman, the Most High went from calling his beloved woman a hoe. He say, hoe, listen. Ezekiel 16:35. He says, "Oh whore, hear the word." Went from calling her his beloved woman, his beloved bride. He said, "Oh whore, listen up, bitch, slut, tramp, thoughts, whore. Listen to me," because that's exactly what the Israelites did. They went from being a bride, a beloved woman, from being a slut, a bitch, a thought, and a whore. Because they wasn't faithful to God. Ezekiel 16:36, thus said the Lord God, because the filthiness was poured out, and thy nakedness discovered, through thy whoredoms with thy lovers. Her lovers was the other nations that she was indulging herself in. Her lovers was the other nations that God tells the Israelites not to affiliate themselves with. He discovered. It says, your filthiness was poured out, and thy nakedness discovered through thy whoredoms with thy lovers, and with all the idols of thy abominations, and by the blood of thy children, which thou did give it to them. See that? Now watch this. Ezekiel 16 verse 37. Read.
Ezekiel chapter 16 and verse 37. Behold, therefore I will gather all thy lovers with whom thou hast taken pleasure. All
thy lovers, the nation of Israel lovers were the other nations. The nation of you blacks, Hispanics, Latinos, and Native Americans, you the Israelites. Your lovers was the other nations that you wanted to be like. Like you want to be like the white man, which is the Edomites of today. You want to be like the Chinese, which is the Moabites of today. You want to be like the Japanese, which are the Ammonites of today. You want to be like the Africans, which are the Hamites of today. You want to be like every other nation. Instead of being obedient to your husband, you want to follow every nation, tradition, customs, and manners. That's what it's talking about. Ezekiel 16:37. Behold, therefore I will gather all thy lovers with whom thou hast taken pleasure, and all them that thou hast loved, Read on up.
With all them that thou hast hated. I will even gather them round about against thee, and will discover thy nakedness unto them. And they may see all thy nakedness.
They may see all thy nakedness, just like a whore. A whore don't cover herself up. In fact, a whore will expose herself to get attention. That's what the Israelites did. You see what I'm saying? A whore don't care. She don't have standards. A whore will walk out the house damn near butt-ass naked. Titties out, ass out, everything. You understand? Just to get attention from guess what? Just to get attention from others. You see what I'm saying? So the Most High said the nation of Israel became like a bitch. The nation of Israel became like a thought, a whore, an unfaithful woman. And you know what he said? He said in Ezekiel 16:37, he said that he was going to discover her nakedness unto them that they may see all their nakedness. Because guess what? It was never meant for a woman that is married to a particular man. It was never meant for her to show her titties and her ass and everything else to another man. But the Most High said, since you want to do that, since you want to do that, Israel, you want to play the harlot, you want to find yourself to be unworthy and unfaithful, guess what? He said, basically, I will discover your nakedness unto them, that they might see your neck. I don't want you no more, because you don't show your cookies. You don't show everything that's supposed to be my possession. You don't show it to every other nation. So guess what? I'm going to discover your nakedness. Ezekiel 16, verse 38. Watch this. Now this is the kicker. This is the golden verse. Ezekiel chapter 16, verse 38. This is the golden verse. Listen, read.
And I will judge thee as a woman that...
I will do what?
And I will judge thee.
I will judge thee as a woman. Go ahead.
As a woman that break wedlock.
What the nation of Israel did?
That break wedlock.
What did the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans do?
That break wedlock.
They broke wedlock. They wasn't obedient to their husband. The nation of Israel wasn't obedient to God like they was called to be. They was unfaithful to him. He found uncleanness in this woman. You see what I'm saying? That goes back to Deuteronomy, the 24th chapter. He found no favor in this woman's eyes. He found uncleanness in her. And we're going to show you what the Most High ends up doing to this woman, which is the nation of Israel, because she broke wedlock. Ezekiel 36, verse 38. She broke wedlock and shed blood and a judge, and I will give thee blood and fury and jealousy. The Most High says that the nation of Israel, we wasn't faithful to keep his laws and follow him as we being his husband. Because the Israelites, they are the bride. They are likened to the woman. Give me Jeremiah 6 and 2 if you don't believe me. Watch this. Jeremiah 6 and 2. If you still don't believe that Israel was likened to a delicate woman, Jeremiah 6 and 2, read that.
Jeremiah chapter 6 and verse 2.
I
have likened the daughter of Zion.
Zion is another name for Israel. He said, I have likened the daughter of Zion. Read on.
To a comely and delicate woman.
We're supposed to be a comely and delicate woman. Jeremiah 6 and 2. It says that he likened the daughter of Zion, Israel, to a comely and delicate woman. We're supposed to be, comely means beautiful. We're supposed to be a beautiful and delicate woman. We're supposed to be a beautiful and virtuous woman. But over a matter of time, we showed ourselves unworthy to the Most High. We showed ourselves not loyal to the Most High. We showed ourselves filthy to the Most High. We showed ourselves unclean to the Most High. We didn't find no favor in the Most High's eyes. Now, what type of man want a woman like that? What type of man want a woman that don't show herself comely and delicate? Ain't no man want no woman like that. A real man want a virtuous woman. A real man want a spiritual woman that's willing to follow him and do as he says and keep these commandments. And keep his rules and regulations. A woman is supposed to follow her husband. The Most High said the Israelites, they wasn't willing to follow him. In the beginning, they was comely and delicate. But over a point of time, over a period of time, the Israelites, showed themselves as the bride to not be eligible to their husband, which was the Most High. So it shouldn't be strange what Deuteronomy 24th chapter speaks about. Deuteronomy, let's go back to Deuteronomy 24th chapter. Deuteronomy 24th chapter. You're going to get it today. Because this is what we do. We do these lessons for y'all. Because the Christian church is not going to teach you this stuff. And I'm not trying to come down on the Christian church, because I know a lot of brothers and sisters, they get offended when you start talking about the Christian church, because we have a lot of brothers and sisters that are devout Christians and that they faithfully go to church. So I don't want to slam the hammer on the nail too hard, because I know how brothers and sisters start defending the Christian church. But let me mind you, you're not going to learn this in the Christian church. You're not going to learn it in the Christian church. So let's go back to Deuteronomy, the 24th chapter. Once again, if you want to know who we are the Israelites that the Bible speaks of. Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. You are the Israelites that the Bible speaks of. You're not Christians. You're not Jehovah's Witnesses. You're not Catholics. You're not Mormons. You're not Muslims or anything else out there. You are the children of Israel, blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans that the Bible speaks of. And just know this, your husband, which was God, he didn't give you religion. He gave you laws, statutes, and commandments to keep. But you're going to find out that other nations gave you religions to control you. So you can be filthy, so you can be unworthy, so you won't find yourself delicate and comely towards your husband. These other nations pulled you away from your husband. You Israelites, you have involved yourself in all the religions, denominations there is. You do everything else but want to keep the commandments of God of the Bible. And when you do that, you find yourself to be filthy. You find yourself to be unworthy. You find yourself not to be the Most High's husband, because you show yourself to be a whore. Deuteronomy 24th chapter. When a man have taken a wife, the Most High took the nation of Israel and married her. And it come to pass, if she find no favor in his eyes, the nation of Israel eventually ends up becoming practitioners of idol worship. Because he found some uncleanness in her. Yeah, she didn't show herself to be loyal. Then let him write her a bill of divorce and give it into her hands. So the question is, did God ever divorce the nation of Israel? Did God ever give the nation of Israel a bill of divorce? Did God ever divorce this woman for being unfaithful? Yes, he did. Give me Jeremiah 3 and 8. Read that.
Jeremiah chapter 3 and verse 8.
Uh-huh.
And I saw when for all the causes whereby backsliding Israel.
Now when it talks about backsliding Israel in Jeremiah chapter 3 verse 8, when it talks about backsliding Israel, this is not talking about Israel collectively as of a whole. This is talking about the northern kingdom. Remember, Israel was servant into two nations. When you read 1 Kings the 11th chapter, it tells you how Israel was servant into two nations. So guys, when you read Jeremiah chapter 3 verse 8 and it speaks about backsliding Israel was the northern kingdom, the kingdom of Samaria. Backsliding Israel did what?
It says, whereby backsliding Israel committed adultery.
How did backsliding Israel commit adultery? Concerning Jeremiah 3 and 8, the northern kingdom, the 10 tribes of Israel, how did they show themselves in committing adultery? They followed after other gods of the nations, whom they was not supposed to. They followed after other gods of the nations. The Israelites supposed to remain faithful to God and keep the commandments that God had given them. But they showed themselves unworthy when backsliding Israel, the northern kingdom, they indulged in following the other nations outside of Israel. They wanted to be like them and worship their gods and customs, traditions, and manners and philosophies. How we know that? How we know that? Watch this. How do we know that? We're going to go back to Jeremiah 3 and 8, because in Jeremiah 3 and 8, it tells you that God divorced this woman, which was Israel. But we're going to go back to Jeremiah 3 and 8. Let me give you this. Give me 2 Kings 17:15. We're going to show you what God told this woman not to do. 2 Kings chapter 17 verse 15. We're going to show you what God told this woman not to do. 2 Kings chapter 17 verse 15. Watch this.
2 Kings chapter 17 and verse 15. And they rejected his statutes.
What did this woman do?
And they rejected his statutes.
They rejected this woman, which was the Israelites. They rejected his statutes. This is what 2 Kings 17 chapter verse 15 says. So if Israel rejected God's commandments, that's a disobedient woman. That's a hard-headed woman that don't want to be obedient and follow her husband. 2 Kings 17 verse 15. Read on.
2 Kings chapter 17 and verse 15. And they rejected his statutes and his covenant that he made with their fathers.
Oh, man. Go ahead.
And his testimonies which he testified against them.
Read on.
And they followed vanity and became vain.
Oh, man, they became vain. See, that's that woman that became unworthy. That's that woman that's that woman became a slut, a whore. That's that woman that became filthy. Read on.
And went after the heathen that were round about them.
What this woman did?
And went after the heathen that were round about them.
The Israelites went after the heathen that was round about them. You're not supposed to follow the heathen because they are likening it to other men. See, when you do that, you're not obedient to your God, which is your husband. So the children of Israel did what in 2 Kings 17:15?
It says, and they became vain and went after the heathen that were round about them, concerning whom the Lord had charged them that they should not do like them.
What did God tell the, wait a minute, read that part again. What did God tell the Israelites, which is this woman?
It's 2 Kings chapter 17 and verse 15. And they followed vanity and became vain and went after the heathen that were round about them. See,
you're an Israelite. Let me show you something. If you're an Israelite, blacks, Hispanics, Latinos, and Native Americans, if you're an Israelite and you want to go after the heathen is the white man, the Edomites. The heathen is the Chinese, which is the Moabites. The heathen is the Japanese, which are the Ammonites. The heathens are the Africans, which are the Hamites. The heathens are the Elamites. The heathens are the East Indians, which are the Elamites. If you've been an Israelite, you want to go after the ways of the heathen, guess what? You make yourself a whore. You make yourself unworthy. You make yourself unloyal. You're not obedient to your husband. You're not willing to follow him. And that's what the nation of Israel did. They was obedient to God by showing themselves to be unworthy by going after other nations. See, when the Israelites went after the heathen, that was this woman going after other men. That was this woman committing adultery. That was this woman breaking wedlock. You feel me? Read,
2 Kings chapter 17 and verse 15. And they followed vanity and became vain. And went after the heathen that were round about them.
Went after other men. Go ahead.
Concerning whom the Lord had charged them that they should not do like them.
Their husband told them. Their husband, the Most High, which is the husband, the groom of Israel, told Israel not to go after the heathen. Told this woman not to go after other men. Read on.
It says, you want me to read verse 16?
Read on. Pick out where you left. 2 Kings 17:15. Read on.
Okay, 2 Kings chapter 17 is in verse 15. And they rejected his statutes.
They rejected his statutes. I didn't want you to start all the way from the top. 2 Kings, we still in 2 Kings 17:15, guys. 2 Kings 17 chapter 15. I want to point this out. It says that the Israelites, they followed vanity and became vain. They went after the heathen. See that? To go after the heathen. See, as you being an Israelite, to go after the other nations, that's talking about idolatry. They're talking about adultery. You not being committed to your husband. Because to be committed to your husband is to be faithful to God and not to go after the other nations. But keep your law, statutes, and commandments. But in 2 Kings 17:15, it says that the Israelites, they went after the heathen that were round about them. And it said, concerning whom the Lord had charged them, who their husband had charged them, who their God had charged them, who their groom had charged this bride, that they should not do like them. See that? So Israel didn't listen. So that's unfaithfulness. You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? So as a result, let's go back to Jeremiah 3 and 8. This what happens. Jeremiah chapter 3 verse 8. As a result, this what happens. Read on.
Jeremiah chapter 3 and verse 8.
Uh-huh.
And I saw when for all the causes whereby backsliding Israel committed adultery.
How did they commit adultery? By following other gods, by following other heathen nations' customs, practice, traditions, and manners. Read on.
I had put her away.
What did God do to the northern kingdom of Israel?
I had put her away.
What did God do to the 10 tribes of Israel?
I had put her away.
I put her away and I did what?
It says, and giving her a bill of divorce.
Wow. God divorced this woman, which is Israel. This is Jeremiah 3 and 8. He divorced her because she found herself unfaithful to him. She wasn't obedient to him. Hell, I would have did the same thing. If I took a woman to marry, and I told this woman, look, you're going to be obedient to me. You're going to follow me. But she showed me in so many ways, she didn't want to do that. She showed me in so many ways that she said, I don't want to only follow you. I want to follow Kevion down the street. I want to follow also Antonio. I want to follow Dante down the street. I want to follow Said down the street. I want to follow Robert down the street. She want to follow all these men. She don't want to be committed to you. She want to follow other men besides being committed to you. Well, guess what? I don't want you then. I don't want you then. If you're not going to be committed to me, I don't want you. If you're not going to follow me, keep my rules and regulations, walk in my steps, and be loyal to me, I don't want you. That's what the Most High tells Israel, because Israel showed himself not to be loyal to him. So he wrote Israel, northern kingdom, a bill of divorce in Jeremiah chapter 3 verse 8. He wrote her a bill of divorce. It says, yet her treacherous sister Judah, because Judah was the southern kingdom, feared not, but went and played a harlot also. But you can see that God didn't divorce the Jews. He didn't divorce the southern kingdom. He divorced the northern kingdom, which was Samaria. Because guess what? She showed herself to be more treacherous than the southern kingdom. Read Jeremiah 3 and verse 11.
Jeremiah chapter 3 and verse 11. And the Lord said unto me, the backsliding Israel had justified herself more treacherous than Judah. See, so backsliding Israel had justified herself to be more treacherous than Judah. See, the Israelites, the northern kingdom of Israel was more wicked. They was more sinister. They was more abominable than the southern kingdom, which was the Jews. The northern kingdom Israelites, because remember guys, all Jews are Israelites, but not all Israelites are Jews. So you had the northern kingdom, which was Samaria. After the split, after Israel became a servant nation, you had the northern kingdom, which was the house of Israel, which consisted of 9.5 tribes. And then you had the southern kingdom Israelites, which were the Jews. The northern kingdom Israelites, the northern kingdom of Israel showed herself to be more wicked. And she showed herself to be more wicked than the southern kingdom. So as a result, the Most High ends up divorcing the northern kingdom of Israel, giving her a bill of divorce. He did not divorce the southern kingdom of Israel because the Most High, the reason why he didn't do that, because he needed the southern kingdom, which was Judah, to send his son through, to redeem that woman that he divorced. I'm going to say that again. The Most High did not divorce the southern kingdom of Judah because the reason why he didn't divorce the Jews, because he needed Judah to send his son through to redeem the woman that he divorced, to buy back, to remarry the woman that he divorced. So when Christ came on the scene, it tells you this in Matthew 15:24. Christ came on the scene for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Who was the house of Israel? The 9.5 tribes, which was Samaria. That God sent his son Christ to redeem. God sent his son to redeem the people that he divorced. Because guess what? After God divorced the northern kingdom of Israel, he couldn't return to her again. He couldn't return to her again. We're going to show you this. Go back to Jeremiah 3 and 1. Read that. Jeremiah chapter 3 and verse 1. They say if a man put away his wife,
just like God put away the Israelites, go ahead,
and she go from him and become another man.
The Israelites became another man through idolatrous practices, through unfaithfulness, idol worship, and paganism. Go ahead.
Shall he return unto her again?
See, shall he return to her again? Go ahead.
Shall not that land be greatly polluted?
Shall not that land, which is the Israelites, be greatly polluted? Go ahead.
But thou hast played the harlot with many lovers.
Thou hast played the harlot with many lovers. So guess what? This takes you back to Deuteronomy, the 24th chapter. This takes you back to Deuteronomy, the 24th chapter, when it says, when a man have taken a wife and married her, and it come to pass that she find no favor in his eyes, because he have found some uncleanness in her, then let him write her a bill of divorce, give it in her hand, and send her out of his house. Watch this. Deuteronomy 24 verse 2. And when she is departed out of his house, she may go and be another man's wife. She may go and be another man's wife. After the husband have written her the bill of divorce, she shall go and be another man's wife. Watch this. Deuteronomy 24:3. And if the latter husband, which is the second husband, come along, if he hates her and write her a bill of divorce, and give it in her hand and send her out of his house, or if the latter husband, which was the second man that came along, or if he die, if the second husband that came along, if he if he found some uncleanness in her, the second husband that come along, if he found some uncleanness in her, or it says, or if he died, which took her to be his wife. Watch this. Deuteronomy 24 and 4. Read that, Jay. Deuteronomy 24 and 4. Watch this. Deuteronomy 24 and 4. Listen up. Pay close attention. Here's the golden verse. Deuteronomy 24 and 4. Read that.
Deuteronomy chapter 24 and verse 4. Her former husband.
Her former husband. Her original husband. Go ahead.
Which sent her away.
The one that gave her that bill of divorce and sent her out of his house. Go ahead.
May not take her again to be his wife.
May not take her again to be his wife. So guess what? We're trying to break down. The marriage and the divorcement. The policies, we're trying to break it down. So guess what? If I took a woman to wife, if I took this woman to wife, and this woman, she, over a period of time, she didn't want to be obedient to me anymore. She didn't want to listen. She didn't want to follow me. She disrespected me. She wouldn't cover herself up. She want to step out of the house any kind of way. She want to fall out the other man. She want to fall out the other man besides being obedient to her husband, which is me. Well, guess what? And she ain't got no favor in my eyes no more. Last but not least, she unclean. She don't want to be obedient to me. Guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to write her a bill of divorce, and I'm going to give it in her hand, and I'm going to send her ass out of my house. I don't want your ass. I don't want your unfaithful ass. Because I didn't decide to get married, to be married to a bitch, or to be married to a hoe, or to be married to an unfaithful woman. I thought you was loyal. I thought you was reliable. I thought you was virtuous. I thought you was delicate. I thought you was comely. I thought you was righteous. But now I see you ain't nothing but a bitch. You ain't nothing but a slut. I don't want you. So guess what I do to my wife? I write her a bill of divorce and I send her out of my house. This is what God did to the Israelite, the Northern Kingdom Israelites. Now, Deuteronomy 24 verse 2. It says, and when she has departed, basically, when I don't gave her a bill of divorce, and when she has departed, that means she's not no longer with me. When she departed out of his house, I don't send her ass out of my house. When she departed out of his house, she may go and be another man's wife. When you write her a bill of divorce, this woman, she may go and be another man's wife. Okay, and when she become married to that latter husband, Deuteronomy 24:3, when she becomes married to the latter husband, it says, and if the latter husband hates her, if the latter husband, he do the same thing because he found some uncleanness in her. If the latter husband hate her, and he write her a bill of divorce, he send her ass off, and he give her a bill of divorce and send her out of his house. Or it's two accounts because it says, or if the latter husband died. Because the latter husband, the second man that took her to be his wife, he may end up dying on her, which took her to be his wife. Rather it's if the latter husband, which is the second man, whether if he found some uncleanness in her and wrote her a bill of divorce, or if he ends up dying on her, which took her to be his wife, guess what? Deuteronomy 24 verse 4 says, she cannot return back to her former husband. She can't return back to her former husband, her original husband. She can't return back to him. Deuteronomy 24:4. Her former husband which sent her away, may he not take her again to be his wife. So what does that mean? Guys, this is crucial for you to understand. That means that the Most High, he couldn't return back to the nation of Israel after he had gave her a bill of divorce. Go back to Jeremiah 3:8. Because we can see in Jeremiah 3:8 that God, Yahweh, the existing one, he gave the northern kingdom Israelites, those 10 tribes, a bill of divorce. And when he wrote her a bill of divorce, reason why he wrote her a bill of divorce, because he didn't find no favor in his eyes. So when he sent her out of his house, it says that she departed and that she went to be another man's. And when she did that, the former husband, which is the Most High, he cannot take her again to be his wife. He can't take her back to be his wife. So how he would be able to redeem this woman that he wrote the bill of divorce if he can't take her again to be his wife? How would he be able to redeem this woman? He had to send his son, who you call Jesus Christ, to redeem that woman that he wrote the bill of divorce to. You see that? That's why in Deuteronomy chapter 24 verse 4 it says that the former husband can't return back to her again. God couldn't return back to the northern kingdom of Israel again after he gave her that bill of divorce. He couldn't return to her again. So what the hell he gonna do? I'm gonna send a lot of husbands. I'm gonna send a lot of husbands. Ain't that what Deuteronomy 24:3 says? If the latter husband. Now see, this latter husband is called the Christ. We're going to show you this. Because I know you may say, well, in Deuteronomy 24:3, it says if the latter husband hate her. We know that Christ didn't hate the nation of Israel. Because it gave two accounts on Deuteronomy 24 verse 3. It said that the latter husband can, if the latter husband end up hating this woman, he can give her a bill of divorce. It says, or, Deuteronomy 24:3, or if the latter husband die, or if the latter husband died that took her to be his wife. That's what happened. The latter husband, which was Christ, he died. He died, which took her to be his wife. He died. And when he died, guess what? That woman, which was the Israelites, couldn't return back to the former husband, which was the Most High God. They couldn't do that. They couldn't return back to the former husband which sent her away. You see that? So now we can see why the Messiah died, why he bled out. Watch this. Give me Matthew. Give me Matthew 15:24. When the Most High gave Israel that divorce, the northern kingdom of Israel that divorce, he couldn't return to her again. Because a latter man came in. See what I'm saying? A second man came in. But when the second man came in, he ended up dying on her. Watch this. Give me Matthew 15:24. Read.
Matthew chapter 15 and verse 24. But he answered and said,
this is the Christ. This is who you call Jesus Christ, who we know as Yahweh Shai. He is salvation, the Savior, the Messiah, the black Messiah of the nation of Israel. Matthew 15, 24, what's going on there?
He said, but he answered and said,
this is what the Messiah said. Read on.
I am not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel.
Now, who was the lost sheep of the house of Israel? It was the northern kingdom that the Most High gave a bill of divorce to. Matthew 15, 24. When the Messiah came to the lost sheep was the house of Israel, the northern kingdom that God had written a bill of divorce back in Jeremiah 3 and 8. That was the northern kingdom. The northern kingdom of Israel, which is the kingdom of Ephraim, better yet known as Samaria. When the Messiah came on the scene, he came to redeem the people that his father had cast off and wrote that bill of divorce to. They was known as what? Matthew 15, 24. They was known as what?
Matthew chapter 15 verse 24. But he answered and said, I am not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. The lost sheep of the house of Israel was the northern kingdom Israelites. Back in Jeremiah 3 and 8 that the Most High gave a bill of divorce to. He didn't do that to the southern kingdom, which was Judah, because he had mercy on the Jews. You see what I'm saying? Because he needed the southern kingdom, Judah, he needed to send his son through to redeem the northern kingdom, which he cast off and gave them that bill of divorce. Because he couldn't return to, remember? It says, if that man put away his woman, you know what I'm saying? It says the former husband, that man, he cannot return to her again. So you know what he did? He couldn't return to her again, so he had to send his son Christ to redeem the woman that he cast off. Because he couldn't return to her again. You see what I'm saying? So now this proves the only people that God ever wrote a bill of divorce to and cast off was the house of Israel. So who you think that Christ came to redeem? He came to redeem the same people that the Heavenly Father had written the bill of divorce to, the northern kingdom of Israel that he cast off. Because that's the very reason why God sent his son. Give me John 3:16. Watch this. See, he didn't send his son. God didn't send Jesus Christ, who we know as Yahweh Shai, to save everybody on the earth. That's why I told you, man, you got to come out to church, because the church not going to teach you this. Church going to lie to your ass and continue to take your money. See, watch this. This is John 3:16. Read that. John chapter 3 and verse 16. For God so loved the world. So God so loved the world. It says God so loved the world. Who the world that God loved? Because a lot of people say, what about John 3:16? What about John 3:16? What about John 3:16? It said God loved the world. Well, who is the world that God loved? Give me, we don't go back to John 3:16. Give me that precept. Isaiah 45:17. Let's discover the world who God loved. See, the Christians, they don't know the Old Testament. So they can't tell me a damn thing because they don't know the Old Testament. Don't come in my face. What you fail to realize is that I'm a Bible scholar. What you fail to realize is that I'm a Bible scholar. So you can't come in my face with the bullshit. This is why pastors, they run from me. They don't run to me, they run from me. You know why? Because guess what? It takes an intelligent man to see a bullshit pastor. It takes an intelligent man to see a pastor that's lying to the congregation. So the pastors don't deal with me because they know I can pick out all their lies. I know you lying to the church at the same time while you taking their money. Got these churches believing that Jesus Christ died for all the sins of the world. When Jesus Christ died for the same woman that his father gave a bill of divorce to, which was the northern kingdom of the house of Israel. So what about John 3:16 when it says, for God so loved the world? Let's see who the world is. Isaiah 45:17. Because you ain't going to understand the New Testament until you understand the Old Testament. So who is this world that God loved? Let's see. Isaiah 45:17. Read that. Isaiah chapter 45 verse 17.
And it's finna tell you who is this world God loved. Read on.
But Israel shall be saved.
But who shall be saved?
Israel shall be saved.
But Israel shall be saved. Go ahead.
In the Lord with everlasting salvation.
With everlasting salvation. Read on.
Ye shall not be ashamed, nor confounded world without end.
Israel shall not be ashamed, nor confounded what without end?
World without end.
Nor confounded what without end?
World without end.
Nor confounded what without end?
world without end.
So Isaiah 45:17, it speaks about how the nation of Israel is the world without end. Isaiah 45:17 says, Israel shall be saved. Isaiah 45:17 says, Israel shall be saved. Isaiah 45:17 says, Israel shall be saved in the Lord with an everlasting salvation. Who has everlasting salvation? Israel. And it says in Isaiah 45:17, ye shall not be ashamed. You shall not be ashamed. You blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, you shall not be ashamed and taking pride in your heritage and taking pride in your nation and telling these other heathens that you are Israelite. You shall not be ashamed, Isaiah 45:17, nor confounded world without end. So who you think the world is back in John 3:16? That Christ was telling Nicodemus about is the Israelites. You are the world. So when he says God so loved the world, the only nation that God has ever loved in the Bible is the nation of Israel. They are the world. What you got to say now, pastor? What you got to say now, you wicked ass pastors, pork chop eating pastors, pulpit pimps? God is going to destroy all you wicked ass pastors. Because you are deceiving a lot of brothers and sisters. You better be careful who you sit up under. You want to keep going to church? You better start raising your hand and get questions. Get answers to your questions. You really think that Christ came to save everybody when the Old Testament tells you that the Heavenly Father only made a covenant with the nation of Israel, and then it says a fraction of the Israelites end up becoming disobedient to their husband, which was God. And he gave them a bill of divorce. He writes them a bill of divorce back in Jeremiah 3:8. He gave a fraction of the nation of Israel a bill of divorce, which was the northern kingdom. And he showed mercy on the southern kingdom. And why you think he did that? Because through the southern kingdom, which were the Jews, he was sending his son through the southern kingdom, which were the Jews, to redeem that woman that he cast off and gave a bill of divorce to. So who you think Christ came to redeem? He came to redeem the Israelites that God cast off and gave a bill of divorce. He came to remarry them. He came to redeem them. Not everybody. Not all nations. You still don't believe me? Give me Hosea. Watch this. Give me Hosea. If any one of you think I'm telling lies, come with the fire, because I got the smoke. If any one of you think I'm telling lies, you can get your best goddamn pastor to tune in live and debate these scriptures with me, because I'm not playing no games. You've been lied to enough by these wicked ass pastors. We showing you who God cast off, who God gave the bill of divorce to. Wait a minute, we're going to show you more. That's why the church will tell you, oh, we not in the Old Testament. We not in the Old Testament. And that's why you don't know nothing about the Old Testament. Because you don't have the knowledge of it. You don't read it. You don't have the historical account. You don't have the history of the Old Testament. So how dare you come to me and try to break down the New Testament? The best thing for you to do that's trying to come to me and debate the scriptures, if you don't have the understanding of the Old Testament, don't step to me with the New Testament. Because really, it ain't no Old or New Testament. It's one book. Because the New Testament is just a reflection of the Old Testament. The New Testament is to test you to see if you have the over-entering understanding of the Old Testament. The New Testament is to test you to see have you been reading the Old. The New Testament, all it's doing is giving a recap on all the history of the Old Testament. And if you don't have this history of the Old Testament, like some of you don't have the history of who the world is, so you thinking it's everybody. You better go back and over-enter and understand the Old Testament before you step to me with the New. Now watch this. We're going back into the book of Hosea, back into the Old Testament that many Christians don't read because they thinking it's done away with. So let's go back into Hosea to see the same people who God divorced. Because the Heavenly Father sent his son as the groom to marry the church. give a damn if you believe me or not. But at the end of the day, you're going to know a real prophet was sown among you. I don't give a damn if you believe me or not. But at the end of the day, you're going to know that a real prophet was sown among you. Give me Hosea. Now watch this. Watch this. Give me Hosea chapter 1. Start with verse 1.
Hosea chapter 1 and verse 1.
Yeah, Hosea chapter 1 and start with verse 1.
The word of the Lord that came unto Hosea, the son of Beri, in the days of Uzziah, Jotham, Ahaz, and Hezekiah, kings of Judah. And in the days of Jeroboam, the son of Joash, king of Israel.
So guess what? The Heavenly Father, Yahweh, the existing one, in the book of Hosea in the Old Testament, he sent a word to Hosea. And this is what the Heavenly Father tells Hosea to do. Watch this. Hosea 1 and 2. Read.
Hosea chapter 1 and verse 2. The beginning of the word of the Lord by Hosea. And the Lord said unto Hosea.
What did God tell Hosea? Because Hosea was an Israelite. What did God tell Hosea?
Go, take thee a wife of whoredoms.
God tell Hosea to do what?
Take thee a wife. Take unto thee a wife of whoredoms.
Take thee a wife of whoredoms. He told Hosea to go marry a hoe. The Heavenly Father tells Hosea to go marry a whore. He said, Hosea, I want you to go marry a whore. I want you to go marry a bitch. I want you to go take upon yourself an unfaithful woman. A woman that's not delicate. A woman that's not virtuous. A woman that's not loyal. A woman that's willing to give her water out to every and any other. He said, I want you to go take upon a hoe. Hosea 1 and 2, you can see it for yourself. Go take unto thee a wife of whoredoms and the children of whoredoms. For the land hath committed great whoredom, departing from the Lord. Now what you fail to realize is this. Listen to me good. What you fail to realize is this right here. See, Hosea, he represented the Most High God. Hosea was the epitome. Hosea was the representation of God. And when God told Hosea to go and marry this whore, he tells Hosea to go take a wife of whoredoms. What he was trying to show Hosea, that Hosea, he was the representation of God that was married to this unfaithful woman. Because what you're going to discover, that hoe that Hosea took upon to be his wife, that was talking about the northern kingdom of the nation of Israel that was unfaithful to him. You may know that? Yes, unfaithful to him. Watch this. Now, skip over to Hosea, because I'm skipping for the sake of time. Skip over to Hosea chapter 2 and read from the top. Hosea chapter 2 verse 1. Read that.
Hosea chapter 2 and verse 1. Say ye unto your brethren, me, and to your sisters, Roma.
Now, when Hosea married this woman, he married this whore. Remember, Hosea represents the Most High God, and the whore represents Israel that was unfaithful, the northern kingdom. So when he married this whore, she gave birth to primarily three children. Hosea chapter 1 verse 4 tells you she had a son by the name of Jezreel. Hosea chapter 1 verse 6 says she conceived again and had a daughter by the name of Leruhamah. And Leruhamah means no mercy. Because in Hosea 1 and 6 it says, name the daughter of this whore, name her Leruhamah, for I will have no mercy. I will no more have mercy upon the house of Israel, but I will utterly take her away. And he did that back in Jeremiah 3 and 8 when he gave the nation of Israel the bill of divorce. Hosea 1 and 7, but I will have mercy upon the house of Judah because he didn't divorce Judah. We showed you back in Jeremiah 3 and 8 who he wrote the bill of divorce to. He did that to the northern kingdom of the house of Israel. He had mercy, dealing with Hosea chapter 1 verse 7. He had mercy upon the house of Judah because he needed the house of Judah to send his son through because his son was a Jew, the king of the Jews. And he needed the house of Judah to send his son through to redeem the woman that he gave the bill of divorce to. Then it also tells you in Hosea chapter 1 verse 9 that this whore that Hosea married, that represented the house of Israel, she had another child. She had another son. And she named this son Laomi. Hosea 1 and 9. For you are not my people and I will not be your God. So we see it right here that Hosea himself was a northern kingdom Israelite that prophesied to the northern kingdom of Israel. The same kingdom that God gave the bill of divorce to. He tells the northern kingdom of Israel. The reason why he had Hosea to go and marry that whore, because that was all in representation of God that was married to this unfaithful woman. That whore which was Gomer. Because in Hosea 1 and 3, Hosea chapter 1 verse 3, it tells you that whore name that Hosea took upon. Hosea 1 and 3, he went and took upon Gomer, the daughter of Deblaim. So this wife that Hosea took upon Gomer acted as the nation of Israel, the northern kingdom, which was unfaithful to God. Hosea himself played the representation of God that was married to Gomer, which was a representation of unfaithful northern kingdom of Israel. And he tells, watch what he say. Hosea 2 and 2. Read that. Hosea 2 and 2.
Hosea chapter 2 and verse 2.
Watch this. Read on.
Plead with your mother.
He said, plead with your mother. He tells Laomi, which was the son of this whore. And also he tells Laruhamah, which was the daughter of this whore. He said, plead with your mother. Hosea 2 and 2. He said, plead with your mother. Read on.
Plead, for she is not my wife.
What did he say?
It says, plead, for she is not my wife.
What did the Most High tell the northern kingdom of Israel in Hosea 2 and 2?
It said, plead with your mother. Plead, for she is not my wife.
She is not my wife. He says what? What else he says?
For she is not my wife, neither am I her husband.
She is not my wife anymore. Neither am I her husband. So we can see right there that God divorced the northern kingdom of Israel and sent her ass off. And said that she was not his wife anymore. And after he divorced the northern kingdom of Israel, the only kingdom that was left was the southern kingdom, which is the kingdom of Judah. He showed mercy to. And he sent his son through the kingdom of Judah, the Jews, which was Jesus Christ. He was the king of the Jews, which we know as Yahushua, to redeem this woman in Hosea 2 and 2, which was the northern kingdom Israelites, that said she was not his wife. Neither would he be her husband. You see what I'm saying? But you don't want to read the Old Testament. The Old Testament it's done away with. You Christians don't want to read the Old Testament. So you're not going to have no over-entering understand what's going on in the New Testament. You thinking that Christ came to redeem and revive everybody. You thinking that Christ suffered, bled out, and died for everybody. No! Christ did not do that. He only died for the people that his Father gave a bill of divorce to redeem these people. How in the hell did he die for everybody when his Father in the beginning didn't make a covenant with everybody? See, let me tell you something. When a particular man takes a woman to marry this woman, a particular man, he don't marry every woman. He married one particular woman. God in the beginning made a covenant with the nation of Israel. You don't believe me? We can go back and show you that. Going all the way back in the beginning of Genesis. We can go back into the Old Testament back in the beginning and show you the only people that God made a covenant with was the house of Israel, the nation of Israel. He never made a covenant with all the other nations outside of Israel. Never made a covenant with those heathen nations. So it seems to me the only people that God would be upset with is the same people he made a covenant with. The nation of Israel was likened unto a bride to God. And he was the groom that hold her accountable to being faithful to him. But guess what? She showed herself unworthy, unfaithful, and filthy because she wanted to seek after other heathen nations and be part of their customs and philosophies and worshiping their gods. So you know what God said? God said the same woman that I made the covenant with, the same woman that I vowed to, I'm going to divorce her. And that ends up being the house of Israel, those 9.5 tribes. The northern kingdom, which was known as Samaria. He wrote them a bill of divorce. But he will later redeem the people that he cast off. He will redeem them how? By sending his son to die for the people he cast off. Watch this. Hosea chapter 1 verse 10.
Hosea chapter 1 and verse 10. Yet the number of the children of Israel.
Read up. Hosea 1 and 10.
Yet the number of the children of Israel shall be as the sand of the sea.
So it's talking about the children of Israel. Read on.
Which shall be as the sand of the sea, which cannot be measured nor numbered.
Read on.
And it shall come to pass that in the place where it was said unto them, ye are not my people.
What place in the Bible where it was said to the Israelites they were not God's people? Jeremiah 3 and 8. Because in Jeremiah chapter 3 verse 8, he gave them a bill of divorce and sent them out. So Hosea 1 and 10, it says, in that place, where it was what? Where it was said unto them, you are not my people. Where in the Bible did God give the nation of Israel, the northern kingdom of Israel, a bill of divorce? Jeremiah 3 and 8. That's the place in the Bible where it was said that they was not his people. But would they remain not his people? He gave this woman the bill of divorce, but would he keep this woman off? Would this woman just forever remain divorced to him? No. She was going to be reconciled to him. But not by God who cast him off, be reconciled through his son. That's why that's that latter husband that came. Watch this. Hosea 1 and 10. Yet the number of the children of Israel shall be as the sands of the sea, which cannot be measured nor numbered. It shall come to pass in that place where it was said unto them, ye are not my people. God gave them a bill of divorce. Remember that? There it shall be said unto them, ye are the sons of the living God. Where it was said unto them, ye are the sons of the living God. Give me Romans 9 and 24 in the New Testament. Because this is what your pastors don't understand. You're not dealing with no simple ass nigga. You're not dealing with no retarded ass, simple ass nigga. Alright? I'm very well intelligent. I'm very well intelligent, spiritually inclined. You're not dealing with no simple ass nigga. You're not dealing with no simple ass pastor or no minister. You dealing with the real. All of you that's tuned in. Matthew Dot Anderson, Miriam Favors, Devin Oliver, Devontae Lanier, Patricia Toombs, Jay White, and Adrian Birch. You're dealing with a highly intelligent, spiritually inclined man that don't take no bullshit from no wicked ass pastors that ain't gonna show you this Bible correctly. Give me Romans chapter 9, what I said.
Verse 4.
Romans chapter 9 verse 4. Begin there.
Romans chapter 9 and verse 4. Who are Israelites?
Romans 9 and 4. Let's skip on down. I don't think I said that. Romans 9 and 24. I said Romans 9 and 24. I didn't say that. He's not listening. Know where his mind at, but you need to get on the ball. Romans 9 and 24. Read that.
Romans chapter 9 and verse 24. Even us whom he had called, not of the Jews only. Now
this is what the pastors tell you. This brother talking about Jesus Christ came to redeem the people that God cast off. No, Jesus Christ came to redeem everybody. Well, we're going to see about that. Romans chapter 9 verse 24. Read.
Even us, whom he had called, not of the Jews only.
See, the pastor say, not of the Jews only. Go ahead.
But also of the Gentiles.
But also of the Gentiles. Now, who are these Gentiles? Watch this. And I'm going to say this and I'm going to end the lesson. The pastor going to take you to Romans 9 and 24 to try to prove that brother said that Jesus died for the Israelites only. That brother said that Jesus died for the Israelites. That he came to redeem the people that God cast off. I beg to differ. Jesus Christ died for the Jew, the Greek, the Italian, the African, the Arab, and everybody else on this planet. That's a goddamn lie. And I'm going to show you. You know why the pastor say that? Because he don't enter and understand Paul's letters. Watch this. Before we break down Romans 9 and 24, I'm going to show you what Peter said about Paul. Don't play with me. Before we break down Romans 9 and 24, let me remind you what Peter said about Paul. Give me 2 Peter 3 and 16. And then we'll go back to Romans 9 and 24. Before we break down Romans 9 and 24, let me show you what Peter said about his beloved brother Paul.
2 Peter chapter 3 and verse 16.
Read.
As also in all his epistles.
This is what Peter said. This is what Peter said about his brother Paul. Read on.
As also in all his epistles.
2 Peter 3 and 16. As also in all his epistles. Epistles mean letters. Talking about, when you see the word in 2 Peter 3 and 16, it said that also in all his epistles, the word epistles means letters. Because Paul wrote letters. Paul wrote a lot of letters to the Israelites, the dispersed Israelites. So the epistles means letters. Start from the top. 2 Peter 3 and 16.
2 Peter chapter 3 and verse 16. As also in all his epistles, speaking in them of these things, in which are some things hard to be understood.
What did Peter say about Paul's letters?
Are some things hard to be understood.
What did Peter say about Paul's letters?
Are some things hard to be understood.
And one of Paul's letters is the book of Romans. And guess what? Some things is hard to be understood for you simple ass pastors. You ministers, you so-called ministers, you so-called wannabe bishops. You understand? 2 Peter 3 and 16, Peter literally said that Paul's epistles, some of his epistles is hard to be what?
Understood.
Hard to be understood. Read on.
Which they that are unlearned.
Which they that are what?
Which they that are unlearned.
Which they that are unlearned. A lot of you so-called pastors, you want to be pastors, but you are unlearned. You want to be bishops, but you unlearn. You want to be ministers, but you unlearn. You want to be evangelists, but you unlearn. You want to be seminary theologians and teachers, but you are unlearned. 2 Peter 3 and 16. In 2 Peter 3 and 16, Peter tells you, you better be learned when you're dealing with Paul's letters. You better be intelligent when you're reading Paul's letters. So guess what? The book of Romans is one of Paul's letters. And some of you is unlearned. 2 Peter 3 and 16, it says they are unlearned. Not only are they unlearned, it says what else?
And unstable.
They are unstable. Go ahead, what it says?
And unstable rest.
And they rest. That means they wrestle. Go ahead.
As they do also the other scriptures.
You wrestling, you tussling, tossing with the scriptures. You all over the place. You confused, you perplexed with the scriptures. Because you are unlearned in Paul's epistles and his letters. And just like a lot of you pastors, I'm going to prove that you unlearned in Romans 9:24. That's the end of that out. Go ahead.
As they do also the other scriptures unto their own destruction.
To your own destruction. Because you twist the scriptures to get the other people to believe exactly what you're talking about. You want to twist the scriptures to get your congregation in your church to believe what you're talking about is true. So guess what? You and your whole congregation that fall after you for twisting the Bible, guess what? It's destroyed in your own destruction. Now watch this. Go back to Romans 9:24. And we're going to show you that we're not unlearned. We're going to show you that we don't wrestle and we unstable with the scriptures. I'm going to break it down correctly for you. So your pastors that try to use Romans 9:24 and say not only are the Jews, but also the Gentiles. Jesus died not only for the Jews, Jesus died for the Gentiles too. I'm going to show you who these Gentiles are in Romans 9:24. Romans 9:24. Read up.
Romans chapter 9 and verse 24.
Let's get it. Read.
Even us whom he had called, not of the Jews only.
Not of the Jews only. Go ahead.
But also of the Gentiles.
Now, are these Gentiles talking about nations outside of the Israelites? Are these Gentiles talking about the actual Romans, the actual Greeks, the Africans, the Chinese, the Japanese, the East Indians, the Arabs, Mongolians, Somalians, Ethiopians, Polynesians, Hawaiians? Are these Gentiles talking about all these other nations in the earth? No. So who are these Gentiles talking about? Let's continue to read. So it says in Romans 9:24, not of the Jews only, but also of the Gentiles. Let's see who the Gentiles are. Read Romans 9:25.
Romans chapter 9 and verse 25. As he said also in OC.
As he said also in what?
OC. As
he says also in OC. Now what was said in OC? What the hell is OC? Romans 9:25. What the hell is OC? Because concerning these Gentiles in Romans 9:24, Romans 9:25 says it was said about these, something was said about these Gentiles in OC. So in Romans 9:25, what is OC? OC is the Greek name for Hosea. OC in Romans 9:25 is the Greek name for Hosea. Hosea. If you want to say Hosea in the Greek, you would say OC. Now, what was said about these Gentiles in OC, which was Hosea? Read Romans 9:25.
In verse 25, and he said also in OC, I will call them my people, which were not my people. I will call them my people, which was not my people. Who were the people that became not God's people back in the book of Hosea? Who was the people that became not God's people back in the book of Hosea? Wait a minute. Back in the book of Hosea chapter 2, who are the people that God divorced and said, you are not my wife and I'm not your husband? Who are the people that God divorced? The Israelites. They are the Gentiles that Romans 9:24 speaks about. As he said in Hosea, following in Romans 9:25. I will call them my people, which were not my people, and her beloved, which was not my beloved. Where was this said at? Hosea. Hosea 1 and 10. Read that. Give me Hosea 1 and 10. And we closing this out. So we can see. The people that was not called God people was never the African man. Was never the Chinese man. Was never the Japanese man. Was never the East Indian man. Was never the Polynesian man. Was never the Arab man. The people that was called not God's people was not these other heathen nations out here. The only people in the Bible that was called not God's people is the same nation of people who he divorced in Jeremiah 3 and 8, and that was the Israelites. Now, like I said, in Romans 9:25, it said, as he said in Hosea. What is OC? OC is Hosea for the Greek. So let's see what he said back in Hosea chapter 1 verse 10 about these people not being his people. Read Hosea 1 and 10 and we closing the video. Read. Hosea chapter 1 and verse 10. Yet the number of the children of Israel.
Yet the number of the who?
Of the children of Israel.
Yet the number of the who?
Of the children of Israel.
The Africans, the Chinese, the Japanese.
The children of Israel.
The East Indians, the Arabs.
The children of Israel.
The children of Israel, which are you blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. You are the children of Israel. Hosea 1 and 10 talks about the children of Israel. Read on.
Shall be as the sand of the sea.
Shall be as the sand of the sea. Continue on.
Which cannot be measured nor numbered.
You can't be measured nor numbered. We don't die, we multiply. Read on.
And it shall come to pass that in the place where it was said unto them.
In the place where it was said unto them in Jeremiah 3 and 8. Go ahead.
Ye are not my people.
When God divorced them back in Jeremiah 3 and 8. Go ahead.
And there it shall be said.
It shall be said in the latter time, the same people that God called not his people, it shall be said in the latter time, what in Hosea 1 and 10?
Ye are the sons of the living God.
When it shall be said, you are the sons of the living God. It shall be said, you are the sons of the living God, when the same man who was God cast the nation of Israel off, gave her a bill of divorce, didn't call the nation of Israel, the northern kingdom, his children no more. It shall be said they are the children of God when he sent his son to redeem the people he cast off. When the redemption came. So when So when Christ came on this earth, and when he suffered, he bled out, he died. He gave the lost sheep of the house of Israel. He gave them back their glory to classify themselves back as the sons and daughters of God again. Because when God cast them off, they was not his people. It was said they was not his people. So when it was very important for the Messiah to come, because when the Messiah came, guess what? He grafted the people back in that God divorced to give them the rights to say they're the sons and daughters again. Now you show me what other nation outside of Israel did God write a bill of divorce. He never did that. The only people that God wrote a bill of divorce to is the house of Israel. So who you think the only people that Christ came to redeem? The same people that the Heavenly Father gave the divorce to. Because I know what you're thinking. I know what you're thinking. Well, why God couldn't redeem them himself? Why God couldn't redeem them himself? We showed you. It said after the former husband put away this woman, he can't return to her again if she go off and be another man. Now who is that another man that she went off and became? Remember? Because there's two accounts in Deuteronomy 24. It said, if that next man that came behind the former husband, if he found some uncleanness in her, he had the rights to give her a bill of divorce too. It said, or if he died. He didn't find no uncleanness in her, he just died. The man that came along, he just died. It says, shall that woman return back to what? Shall that woman return back to the former husband? She can't return back to him. So it ain't no way in hell that the nation of Israel, the northern kingdom, could return back to God. She couldn't return back to the former husband. So God allowed his son to come down and remarry this woman. And so that's why in the Bible, we thank you for your time, guys. Now you should enter and understand. You can holler at me for anything. If you got any questions of the Bible, just feel free. You can holler at me for anything. Okay, guys? I know this book. I ain't bullshitting. I know this, but I know the whole entire Bible. I know this, and I'm not saying this out of pride, because the Most High don't like pride. The Most High don't like a conceited spirit. So I'm not saying this out of pride, but I'm saying this with confidence. You see what I'm saying this with passion. I know this book. And I know when wicked ass niggas and pastors that try to twist the scriptures and mislead other people, that's what pissed me off. When they don't teach the Bible in correction. So you damn right God couldn't go back and remarry the woman, the woman which was northern Israel he cast off. He had to send his son. And this is why I says this right here. Last book, chapter and verse, I promise, God. Last book, chapter and verse, I promise. Last book, chapter and verse, I promise. 2 Corinthians 11 verse 2. And if you don't get it, you'll never will. 2 Corinthians 11 verse 2 in the New Testament.
2 Corinthians chapter 11 and verse 2.
Listen up. 2 Corinthians 11 verse 2. Read.
For I am jealous over you with godly jealousy.
I'm jealous over you Israelites with godless jealousy. Read on.
For I have espoused you to one husband.
I have espoused you to what?
To one husband.
I have espoused you to one husband. Who is that husband? Go ahead.
That I may present you as a chaste virgin to Christ.
To Christ. So he became the new bride. The new groom. Christ became the new groom. Christ became the new groom. Because the former groom couldn't return back to the woman he cast off. So when the Bible speaks about Israel being the bride and how they are how this bride should be preparing themselves, because let me tell you, the bride is soon to meet the groom, and the groom ain't gonna accept this bride any kind of way. The bride gotta step correctly. The bride gotta be keeping these laws, statutes, and commandments. The bride gotta be pure and holy and show herself without blemish before she step to this groom, which is Christ. So we thank you, Devontae Lanier, Patricia Toombs, Jay White, Adrian Birch, Rico Suave, Matthew Dot Anderson, Mel Favors, Devin Oliver, Devontae. All right, we thank all you guys for being part of this wonderful lesson on today. And just remember, guys, if you want me to have Bible study with you, if you want me to just you know how to get at me. Get at me on Facebook. Just shoot me a message. Be like, can you do a video on this book, chapter, and verse in the Bible? I don't understand this book. I don't understand this chapter. I don't understand this verse. Can you please do a lesson on this? You know, and I would be happy, more than happy, to edify you guys, because you are the Israelites. Adrian Birch, you are an Israelite according to the Bible. You from the tribe of Judah. Adrian Birch, you are the daughters of Zion. Adrian Birch, you are a queen. You are a delicate woman. All right? And if you not, then we should repent to show ourselves to prove unto God. We should straighten ourselves, even if we not delicate, even if we not eligible. We should repent. That's what repentance for. Repentance means to change the mind for the better and never go back to the former things that you're doing. So, Adrian Birch, if you're going down the wrong road, it's never too late to repent. As an Israelite, you are an Israelite, sister. You see what I'm saying? Jay White, you are an Israelite from the tribe of Judah. It's time for us to repent. Patricia Toombs, sis, you are an Israelite, the daughters of Zion. Devontae Lanier, my brother, you're an Israelite. Devin Oliver, Mel Favors, Matthew Dot Anderson, Rico Suave. We are the Jews. We are the Israelites. And we are that woman. We are that woman. We are that woman, which is the bride, that should be preparing ourselves for the groom, which is Christ, prior to the second return. Once again, it was an honor, guys. I'm your host, Shabar Judah Israel. To my right hand side,
Yeremi Yaban Israel.
He was the read on today, and we have many others that participated in this class. I know you guys just couldn't see them. My lovely wife, Judith by Israel, and also my middle son, Rashwan Israel. You see, so we had like a little family lesson on today, and hope you was edified. Share the video. Until next lesson, shalom.